Oh, amazing. Uh, Hello, everyone. Yeehaw. Uh, Thank you for joining us for this, our virtual ramble in the digital wilderness. Uh, if you don't know already, this is one of the events in the program that we're hosting for as part of the Virtual Textual exhibition, which is happening in real space at the Phoenix Cinema and Arts Centre in Leicester. This is our penultimate event, so thank you very much for joining us. Um, Let me introduce you to our ragtag group of adventurers. Uh, First off, we have Calum Rodger, who
Hello.
is a poet, former academic turned software developer, and a doctor of Scottish literature. His work Rockstar North is part of the Virtual Textual exhibition, so you can see it live and in the flesh right now. Uh, Moseying up behind Callum here, we have Will René, who's a librarian at the National Poetry Library and hosts Plastic Language on NTS Radio. Playing poetry was really privileged to be able to show an exhibition at the library last year, so it's wonderful to keep the conversations going like this in this new virtual space. And lastly, on the camera, we have Susie Buchan, assistant producer for the Virtual Textual exhibition and artistic director of Biome Collective. You won't see much of Susie as she'll be acting as our eyes over the world, but she's here and following the gang along. Uh, so I want to hand it over to you both.
Oh my goodness!
Oh God, what a way to start!
Whose horse is that?
That was Gerard. That was Will or Trent's
That horse was ruining all my shots as well. Sorry.
who's now long
Sorry.
gone. Anyway, I'm going to hand it over to Callum and Will. Please do say hello. Let us know who you are, what's brought you here, and tell us about your hat.
Hello, Nick. Hello, everyone. My name is Calum, aka Coleus Gumdrop, for the purposes of this evening. And yes, it's really good to be here. This is my first time exploring the world of Red Dead for a few years now, and one of my few forays into the online version. It's also, I think, my first ever collective virtual poetic ramble. I've done a few virtual poetic rambles solo, but yeah, it's really good to have a posse. It feels like I'm taking it to the next level. And my hat, it's the hat was gifted to me by whichever god created me from nothing to inhabit this world. And he, she, or they could not have got my style any better. Very similar to a couple I have in my wardrobe, in fact.
Likewise, really happy to be here. I haven't done any virtual rambles. It's the first time I've kind of engaged with the video game in this quite ambient way, so it's really nice to be doing it. If you haven't seen it already, and we'll talk about it at length later, I imagine Callum's Rockstar North is an amazing work about this kind of solitary rambling in video games, but doing it as a communal activity, I think is a really nice thing to do. So I'm looking forward to sort of seeing what materializes, seeing some nice landscapes. I'd like to apologise on behalf of Gerard, my horse, for kicking Susie in the head. That's a really bad way to start.
I forgive you.
You want to give us a quick hello as well, Suze?
Oh, yeah. Hello. I am the camera woman for today's expedition. It's my first foray into virtual camera womaning. That's not how you say it. And I wasn't really paying attention there because I was just trying to get a nice shot. But yeah, I'm one of the producers for the events program with Nick for playing poetry. And I do lots of other bits and bobs, but I'm very excited to ramble and adventure because I love playing video games.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw.
So, we set off
indeed.
into the wilderness. I feel like Callum, do you want to
Yeah.
lead us? And
Sure.
if you can navigate this dark terrain and also tell us a little bit about some of your work, it'd be really nice to talk about Rockstar North, how that's connected, because that's kind of how we've got here today.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So why don't we walk towards this gloaming over yonder, and we'll see. Are we going to take the horses? We could
No,
always
leave the horses,
whistle them
yeah.
at a later date.
Yeah, we can mod for a
Um,
bit.
Yeah,
Sometimes they
yeah.
like to follow us, though. I don't. There's a way that you can make them not follow you, but
That's
this one
right.
is following me.
Yeah.
It's not my horse.
Oh, well, that's good.
I think
They're
Robert
Um,
rather
Burns.
part of the team.
Sorry.
But yeah, well, what I did think I'd do, I'm going to start by reading a little snippet from the 17th century text by the Japanese haiku master Basho, his book, The Narrow Road to the Deep North, which was a huge influence on the poem and film I made called Rockstar North, which I'll talk about in a moment. But one reason I wanted to read this little snippet is because it possibly gives some caveats or describes some of the risks that we may face on our little virtual rambles. So just to prepare both ourselves and the viewers at home. So I'm going to read a little prose section from the opening pages of Narrow Road to the Deep North. And this is from a translation by Dorothy Britton. The translation was actually gifted to me by a student when I was teaching English in Tokyo in my early 20s, so quite a number of years ago now. So I've really loved this text for a long time. So yeah, it's very nice to share it with everyone. I'm just walking around in circles here, pardon me.
Maybe get up on this rock
Yeah.
as a stage in the
Oh yeah,
in the
I
natural
like
world.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's an
nice.
excellent idea.
Also, should I have a lantern? Is that something that you have to find?
I
If you
don't know.
press,
Yeah.
I don't know what your key bindings will be,
Oh no,
but yes, you have one in your pocket.
I do have one. Okay, that's good to know.
I'm gonna crouch for dramatic emphasis.
I really like it. I'm also concerned.
So this is Basho. Here am I, in the second year of Genroku, which is 1689, suddenly taking it into my head to make a long journey to far northern provinces. I might as well be going to the ends of the earth. There will be hardships enough to make my hair white, but I shall see with my own eyes places about which I have only heard. I shall be fortunate if I but return alive, I thought, taking my future on that uncertain hope. We finally arrive later that day at the post town of Soka. What I find most trying is carrying my belongings on my thin, bony shoulders. I set out thinking to travel light, in only what I was clad, but I needed a durable paper coat to keep out the cold at night, a cotton kimono, rainwear, and such things as ink and brushes. Then there were various farewell gifts I could not refuse and cannot very well be thrown away. So these are burdens I shall have to bear. So Basho describes there two of the great risks in playing Red Dead Online. Incidentally, perhaps. One is, of course, the peril of death. When we were doing a little run through earlier, we found some less than friendly characters chancing upon us. So yeah, we may have some similar encounters this evening. And the other one, of course, is inventory management. So yeah, him carrying his belongings on his thin, bony shoulders and carrying way more than he actually requires for the sake of the poem and for the sake of the poetic journey. I wish I had that problem in this case. We were talking earlier about how we have a woeful lack of provisions for this journey. So
Yeah.
so yeah, we'll see how we fare. I've got a
Uh-oh.
couple of cans of beans in the satchel, so hopefully that'll be enough to see us through.
Nice.
But yeah, so that's a little bit of Basho. Shall we continue?
Yeah,
Let's
absolutely.
walk over
Yeah.
to this little sort of abandoned settlement over here, and I'll tell you a little bit about how Rockstar North came to be. So Rockstar North is a poetic travelogue in the romantic style, in the style very much inspired by poets Wordsworth, Basho, who I've already mentioned, and the great Scottish nature writer Nan Shepherd. So it's a 20-minute long poetic travelogue set entirely in the Grand Theft Auto 5 universe. And it began, the idea for it came in like 2013, like shortly after the game had come out. I was studying for my PhD at the time in Scottish literature. And yeah, I was like playing the game, absolutely loving it. And yeah, just it occurred to me that, oh, how cool would it be to do a kind of Basho style like walking journey around the game. So the idea popped into my head around then. Although it was like 3 years later, it wasn't until after I finished my PhD that I actually sat down and undertook the journey. So basically the idea was I took the paper map that came with the game, and on the paper map there are 8 mountain peaks marked, I found that really interesting. They're marked on the paper map, but they're not marked on the mini map in the game. And if you actually go to these locations, there's nothing there. Like, there's nothing to interact with. There's nothing to do. They're kind of like non-places, and it's even odd that they were included in the paper map. But I really liked that about it. So I decided I kind of plotted a very kind of loose route around the map, and the idea was I would walk up every single mountain peak in the game. But I began at Los Santos Airport. I travelled northeast and then did this kind of full circuit of the map, going up every mountain. I died many, many, many times, of course.
As the
But
film
yeah,
does show.
well, indeed, the climbing mechanic on GTA 5 is basically non-existent. There's a lot of literally throwing myself at rock faces and hoping for the best. But yeah, in any case, I had like 3 rules when I was playing the game, which were 1, enter no vehicle, not even bicycles, travel always on foot and only on foot. 2, to kill in self-defense only. I would have liked to have been no killing at all, but when you're attacked by a cougar in the late night in the Palomino Highlands,
Oh my god! Oh, I was looking at you. I was looking at you guys. I wasn't paying attention to the screen. I'm so sorry. Oh, jeez.
Oh, there's another one.
Oh no.
Doing great, guys.
Oh.
Oh wow!
Oh.
Did we dispatch the threat?
Are we all alive? Is everyone on
I'm
head
close to
count?
dead. I need to eat some food. I might have
Oh,
to make a
yeah.
campfire to cook some of my meat.
Oh, that's not a bad shout.
Oh.
Should we do that? Should we build a little
Yeah.
I'm sorry from the scream there. I was walking in front of you with the camera, looking at you walking backwards, so the wolf really came out of nowhere. But it was very well timed.
It was very well timed, wasn't it? So that was the second rule, killing self-defense only. And the third one was to, treat it as this kind of poetic journey. So the whole way I was making loads of notes. I had, my controller in one hand, Microsoft Word open in the other. And by the end, I had like a 12,000 word document. Just like very much modeled after Basho, actually. Lots of little haiku, little prose descriptions, that kind of thing. And that was in 2016. And then the following year, I turned that into a kind of 20-minute performance poem. And I performed it at the Scottish Storytelling Centre in 2017 with a slideshow of images from the game that I'd taken with the in-game camera behind me. And then it was about like 3 or 4 years later. It was like 2021, and I was like actually really ill for a while over 2021, and it was during that time I'd also recently got myself a half decent gaming laptop, and it occurred to me that wait a second, I could make an entire film shot entirely in game of Rockstar North. So that's what I did. I kind of machinima 23-minute short film shot entirely in game, and with my poem and subtitles over the top.
Incredible.
So that's what it became, and so it began with Basho, and then later it was around 2016 I really got into the work of Nan Shepherd. That's when I first read The Living Mountain. So that was obviously a huge influence in kind of pulling everything together. And then so I finished the film in 2021, and then I premiered it at Push the Boat Out, which is a great poetry festival in Edinburgh at Summerhall. And from there it was just really well received, and then had the amazing opportunity to take it down to London, perform it at the National Poetry Library there. And it's been amazing working with Nick and the Playing Poetry team. I've taken it to Berlin. It's now at the Phoenix in Leicester. So it's just been the most amazing afterlife of this poem that is actually quite a number of years old now. But then kind of, I like to think with the film it kind of achieved its final form. And it is also up on YouTube, but you should definitely go and see it at the exhibition, because the video quality will be better, and B, the ambience of it. I haven't been to the exhibition, but the ambience of it from the photos looks amazing. It's such a cool space.
Really cool. How long how long did it take to assemble? Like, how many times did you have to do the walk, would you estimate?
That's a good, like the original walk, I want to say kind of like one, but specific sections I would have to repeat again and again and again. And actually, now you mention it, that I did kind of bend the rules there a bit. If I died, then I was allowed to use a vehicle to get back to the point at which I died, kind of thing. So I cheated a little bit there. But yeah, I think, I mean, it's kind of hard to remember, but I think probably all in, it was about 10 hours or something, doing the journey. I did it over about three sessions, I think.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to get some food.
Oh, aye. That's easy.
I missed.
Friendly fire.
And in terms of like causes of death while you were doing it, like, so did that happen? Was mountain falling like one of the main things, or did you find
Mountain
that
falling was definitely number one, yeah. Cougar attacks. And then there were a few just, you know, you rub up an NPC the wrong way before you know it, you're poked. Oh, look, a fire.
Oh,
Here we go.
maybe I can roast my meat. Because I've actually run out of food. Not to alarm you all, but I have actually run out of food now. So.
Great,
While
okay, well this
while
is
it's dark,
perfectly
shall we all
located.
have a little,
I don't
sit
think
by the fire.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
I don't think I
I've
can
actually
use
got,
this fire to roast my meat because it's not my
It's a
fire.
pity.
Oh, damn.
I've actually got a campfire poem if anyone wants to hear the campfire poem.
Yes,
Oh, yeah, that's
definitely. Let's get
perfect.
around the campfire. This is a perfect moment.
How do I rest? It's not letting me kneel like you guys.
Click down on the left stick.
Left stick. Oh, there you go. Yeah, that's the stuff. All right. All right. So this is from Cowboy Poetry, A Gathering, which is an anthology that I found in the collections of the National Poetry Library. So these poems are pretty corny, but you know, I feel like they speak to the experience we're currently having. This one is called "The Glow" by Bill Simpson, and I'm not going to do a voice. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Well, what's in a fire that pulls a man's desire to stare at hard gaze at a campfire blaze? From the bright amber coals to where the blue flame rolls, the glow is sure there, and it'll draw your stare. Men sit for hours while the red flame flowers, without a thought in their head, like their mind's gone dead. No want and no care, it'll just hold you there in a blank state of mind with nothing to find. Well, the popping and the cracking goes on unobserved. It's the flames that hold you so reserved. They're leaping and reaching and trying to find a way to penetrate man's simple mind.
I love it. I really love it. That's amazing. And it's a meditation poem, right? It's yeah.
Right,
it's
yeah,
really
yeah.
cool. I wonder, do you mind you reciting that poem has prompted another poem I've got here, which I feel really kind of corresponds to that in some way. Mind you, maybe we're not the only readers at this campfire.
Maybe we need to
Okay, is there
listen to what he has to say first.
He's even got a tome, a nice hardback tome.
We need to hear about his bank job. I think it's poetic.
Yeah, I agree.
There we go.
Right.
He's done.
Right.
He's
Okay.
finished his story.
All right. So from bank job to Nan. This is called The Hill. And your poem, Will, did remind me of this, and that it's like a poem of kind of meditation on a concrete object or solid object, or fire being the most nebulous kind of solid, but let's say thing. But like in that kind of act of meditation, there's something very unthingly about it, like in your poem, Will, like the simple mind of man. And it does feel of a piece with this Nan Shepherd poem, which is called The Hill. From her collection In the Cairngorms from 1934. So it may be a hill was there, blue, tremulous, afar. I looked and thought the gleam was air, and thought the morning star might tremble thus, and thus resolve its fire in common light, content, while world and sun revolve, to vanish from the sight. So hard it was that morn to tell if earth or heaven I saw. I knew not how on earth to dwell, nor how from heaven withdraw. For vanishing within my thought, and stealing back to view, earth mingled so with heaven, they wrought one universe from two. So that was Nan. I love that line in particular, blue, tremulous, afar. And the first line, so it may be a hill was there. There's a bit in The Living Mountain where she writes about, seeing a mountain in the far horizon and just asking it, not even sure whether it's a real or an imagined mountain. And it's that kind of idea like really appeals to me in Nan Shepherd's work. She's a nature writer, but she's like very much a kind of poet of like the spirit or the soul and the imagination at the same time. And the rain has started right on cue for
Yeah.
that.
Which is
Also, it looks
great.
like we're like the darkness is lifting. So I wonder, should we stroll on and
Yeah,
maybe
let's
we'll
do
get
it.
to a good vantage point for dawn? That could
That
be very
sounds
nice.
like a magnificent idea. Yeah, let's do that.
Let's roll.
I'll just crouch walk out.
Sneak away from the fire.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
That sorry, Nick, you were about to say something.
Oh no, I was just going back onto the onto how you were describing Rockstar North, Callum, and the idea of circling round the map. Just kind of thinking about that as a constraint in like any of these virtual worlds where you're given, you know, like a set of rules, you can kind of do whatever you want with them, and then building your own rule sets on top of that, and then even like that rule of having to then or giving yourself permission to break a rule with the car when you die. Like there's something really interesting in how you can play a game on top of a game, and like I
Yeah.
feel like that very much is how you wrote Rockstar North. Like it feels like that play like surfacing just above the game itself or your gameplay itself.
Absolutely, and there's a bit in the poem that I am making my own game within the game,
Yeah.
and it is, and there's it's something that also poets do as well. And I think there's amazing correspondences between like the art of poetry and the art of gaming. I mean, one of them is how incredibly conventional both poetry and gaming are, to the point that they can be, for certain types of games and certain types of poetry, can be kind of quite inaccessible to the uninitiated. I mean, if you just think of like the complexity and sort of, kind of elaborateness of the many genres of games, and every single one of the genres has this incredibly kind of expansive and rich and detailed like conventions that you have to learn, essentially.
Absolutely.
Like JRPGs or something like that, or a game like that, and even something like this, which on appearance seems quite kind of like naturalistic, there's still like so many kind of tropes, mechanics, and so on that
Yeah.
you kind of take for granted as a gamer. And I think it's also someone who's kind of spent about 9 years at uni studying poetry all in. It's become kind of those conventions have become second nature.
Yeah.
In terms of poetry as well, and so it was part of that, like that analogy, the way that poets create rules themselves and then also break them occasionally, is something that is very much of a piece with what I was doing with Rockstar North. And it is also, I mean, I love the GTA games and I love romantic poetry, but one of the opportunities with Rockstar North was this kind of way of sort of celebrating the things I loved about both traditions, but also kind of, I wouldn't go as far as say critiquing. That seems like almost too kind of heavy-handed a word, but
Lofty.
just you're like, just kind of poking fun at, or it's kind of even subverting seems to, but yeah, just it's particularly with GTA, this the hyper violence of it, the hyper masculinity of it, the point scoring, the how it encourages you into this like total kind of anarcho capitalist liberty sort of thing. I mean, that's like, right?
Yeah,
It's
just
kind
fell
of the
downhill as well.
ideology of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that accessibility thing is. Oh, there I go again. Maybe we're not getting up this mountain. Is this a metaphor?
I was gonna say we're getting quite
that is-
ambitious with this.
Oh.
One more time.
It's like a
Nope.
little jig. Oh yeah, I think this slope is
Yeah.
unfriendly.
Speaking of accessibility, it makes me think of like just two examples that pop into mind. There's the game developer Ian Bogost, who made like a series of game poems. Was really concerned, like really interested in the idea that a game can be a poem, and like, oh, see you later, guys.
Oh my
Oh,
god,
no.
off he goes.
Oh, Nick's gone.
Nick,
Oh no.
we lost them.
I might not be coming back from this.
Yeah, maybe we should. I think our mission has now become rescue Nick.
Oh,
why don't we
Yeah,
make?
I'm just gonna stand at the bottom of this hill and eat some food.
Did
'cause
you
I
not
might
die?
Did you survive?
I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna
I'm fully
die.
alive.
My
You're still alive.
stamina is all out,
Honestly,
and I have no food. So if we could find a shop or set up a fire,
That's
so
a good shout.
we could
Sure. Oh, did you not cook at the camp?
No, it
Did
didn't
you
let
not?
you. You have to. I think it
Oh.
You
has
have
to be
to,
like
yeah.
your own
Have to make
type
your
of
own.
fire.
You want,
Yeah.
you want to set yours up? So we
I
can
don't.
walk to yours.
I don't quite know how, but I can try. I've not
Let's
done
give
it
it a
before.
shot.
Yeah.
Wait.
So Nick, you're probably just round here, right?
Camp.
Yeah. I'm down the other side of the mountain.
Well,
I'll
camp.
just stand
Mhm.
here. Yeah, so
Oh,
like Ian
sorry,
Bosch
no,
makes
no.
these like
Wait, what's
video
happening?
games.
Why am I
no,
getting
no,
strangled?
no, no,
I'm
no.
trying- No, you just killed
Right,
me.
I'm gonna run towards your dog.
Will just killed me.
I don't know what I'm really.
Will,
sorry, this is not-
Will just
Welcome to live events, everybody.
Will
That's
just
really
strangled
not
me
what I
to
wanted to
death
happen.
as I was
Oh my
trying to
God.
get our camp. I was trying
was
to
trying
buy
to-
us a nice camp, and Will
I'm really
strangled me
sorry
to
for
death.
anyone who just saw that. That was horrible.
I've
trying to
got the
focus
stream
me up.
open in the other window, and I watched it. There's a few second delay, so I actually watched it happen in almost real time, and that was brutal.
It was not good.
Oh wait,
I tried
I also-
to disengage, but it didn't work. Are you back alive? Sorry.
Sus, you're
I'm,
here.
I'm back alive.
Hey, gang.
Our camp is a little while away because I wasn't sure where we were. So we could try and walk to the camp.
Shall we do
Is-
that?
Or ride to the camp. It is north, east, a bit past Wallace Station in the Grizzlies West.
Okay, well, that's a destination.
I
Let's,
don't have the guide on, so you know.
Northwest.
North, east. No,
North,
mainly north.
Uh,
If we just walk north. I also need to find you all though. So where are you?
Okay.
I don't have the radar on because you said that would be a more authentic experience. So
Okay, we'll come find you.
Yeah.
Find you.
well, no
We'll
one
head-
else should have
we'll
the
head-
radar on either. We need to all be authentically experiencing the wilderness.
Different levels of authenticity to this
Yeah.
experience. So like at that very moment where all chaos ensued, I did look down at the chat where someone has written, "This mist is very Nan Shepherd," and it was wonderful to have a calm kernel as I was sliding down a mountain.
Nice.
Right, I'm like in a valley, walking down a road.
Jamie's
I
also
think-
keeping a score of how many times like the wilderness is absolutely devastating us.
Okay.
So far, it's the game 3 Susie nil.
Why me?
I think we're on the same road, Susie. We're gonna
yeah,
meet
yeah.
you
I'm
very
running
soon.
down to you.
Right.
I can open my map and see where you are, but I just don't have like the radar on.
Yeah.
Are you down by the river?
Yeah,
yeah.
here you are.
Yeah,
Nice.
Okay. Nice. Okay.
we did it. We did it together
Hey,
again.
hello everyone.
Okay.
Okay, is this a suitable place to make a campfire? Was that our?
So I've made the camp, but the camp it like makes it in different locations, and I thought it was going to
Ah,
make
yeah.
it in. So the camp is a fair bit north, but I think if we
Okay.
rode there, we could.
Yeah, let's do
we
it. Let's
could
get on
do
a
that.
walk.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's quite a lot of riding though.
Oh, Gerald's coming back. Gerald.
So if we go along this road and then right across the river.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's get Robert Burns back.
These are all the names of our horses, in case you didn't realise. You met Gerald earlier.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
didn't do enough prep before time, so I had to rent a horse by the name of Scrawny Nag, which I'm actually rather
Which
fond
I
of.
think is a. I think that's an honourable name.
Yeah. I
Scrawny
agree.
Nag, you know, of the Hamilton Nags.
Yeah.
Robert. There we go.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, we're back on track.
Nice.
Lead the way, Sue.
All right.
Can I tell you where it is and then you guys can lead and I can follow? I'll tell you where it
Sure.
is so you can all look at your map.
Yep.
We need to go to, and I guess we can talk and ride.
Yeah.
It's by Cattail Pond in
Oh, yeah.
Grizzlies West.
Cat's Tail Pond.
Yes.
I found it.
It's to the west of Cattail Pond, not where that little grave sign is or fighting
Okay.
sign.
So it's
You
just a
lead
little
the
to the
way.
west of that.
It's pretty much right beside it. It's just like a bit north of the
Great.
name on the map.
In fact, I've got the stream in another window so I can see exactly where
Oh,
it is.
smart. It's just like we're all looking at the same map.
Okay,
Right. Is
so
it this way? right?
We're going, yeah, this way, I think.
I'm
Yeah.
going to lead up the back so everyone can see it all.
Okay.
of the beautiful team ride, and we can continue with our important conversations, and we'll try not to die again or fall down any cliffs. Yeah.
Or kill in my case.
Or kill me. Yeah. You know that I just thought that you would stop doing it somehow, because I wasn't even trying to tell you to get off me, because I was just in the menu trying to find a camp. So I was just like, okay.
The only option it gave me was to tap X to struggle, but I don't know what that meant in that context.
I guess
That's very poetic as well.
Yeah.
I was one that had to get out of that, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like, you know that game that's called Press X to not die? Right. That's
So
another
Nick-
really fun theme that I've explored a little in video game poetry. Just like trying to turn poems or use like sort of video game tutorial commands as a sort of mode for doing poetry in.
Which is actually a very good moment to mention your pamphlet ports out with
Yes.
spam.
Oh no.
Yeah.
Which has some excellent
Yeah.
poetry using the I don't know why I've got in front. I don't know where we're going.
Sorry, everyone.
Which has
I
some
have lost
excellent
you.
poetry.
Oh no, I've not lost you. Right, I'm back.
Oh, we see. We'll wait for you at this crossroads.
I found Will. No, that's
oh,
not Will. That's another. That's just a
That's
random
not
man. I turn names off. I'm trying to have an authentic experience. Is this
It's like
you?
that thing when you're a kid
Yeah,
in the
that's
supermarket and you think it's your mum or your
You
dad,
start
and you
following
tap them in the
someone,
shoulder.
yeah.
I feel like I'm sort of galloping ahead here. Like, pull back to a canter.
Wait, we lost.
Oh,
Cat?
yeah,
Oh no,
there you
we've
go.
got. Okay.
Yeah, we're all
Yeah.
together again.
We're definitely going the right way. I got one of those what are they called? Root things.
Oh, nice. There's some other.
Yeah, no,
good,
thanks for mentioning Poets, Nick. Poets was
Yeah,
a pamphlet that came out in 2019 with Spam Press with the tagline "Classic 20th Century Poems Reimagined as Video Game Instructions." So that was
We've got a copy in the exhibition as well. So if you go along, you can read some of it there.
Pleased to hear
Along with Coin Opera 2, excellent anthology of game poetry,
Mhm.
which has some interesting kind of conversions of like game instructions in as well. That's a fun one to check out if you're
It's a really
interested in
good
this
book.
kind of thing.
I think we're gonna turn right here.
Nope.
Oh.
So, Calum, there was a line in that Nan Shepherd poem. Like, what was the last line? The sort of mountain, real.
So what the towards the end, Will?
Yeah, the line about the mountain, like maybe not.
For
a bit
vanishing.
about it.
For so hard it was that morn to tell if earth or heaven I saw, I knew not how on earth to dwell, nor how from heaven withdraw. For vanishing within my thought, and stealing back to view, earth mingled so with heaven. They wrought one universe from two. Sorry,
Imagine if this is like what real life poetry events are like. Imagine if you're just on stage at your open mic and then this.
Oh, that'd be amazing. Oh, we've got a visitor.
Okay.
Where? Oh yeah. Also, I just like to.
93.
I would just like to say that someone just said a really nice comment in the chat, saying, "I've never seen such incredible idea mixing game playfulness and poetic play. I'll take a look at the project to catch up on the idea better."
Amazing.
That's
Thank
lovely.
you so much.
That actually prompts something I wanted to ask Will. And in your work at the National Poetry Library, have you aside from these kind of exhibitions and so on, have you found any kind of interfacing or interaction or interest from visitors to the library with regard to poems about games, games about poems, that kind of thing?
I mean, I think the exhibition itself was like a really interesting way to see people engage with games and poetry in that way. So, like, testament to like Nick and your piece as well that was like showing there. Since then, we haven't had people coming in like specifically asking about it, to my knowledge. But I think it was like it helped people see both like gaming and poetry in quite a different way. And I feel like that juxtaposition, in a similar way to what you were just describing about like kind of having that mix of GTA and like romantic poetry, it sort of like opens up a new space where like something else is happening. There's not either, but it's both at the same time. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, totally. I think I do feel like the future is bright for video game poetry in that respect. I mean, going back to what I was saying a moment ago about how, you know, actually very complex both art forms are in a lot of ways in terms of like knowing the conventions, and the Venn diagram of people who love poetry and people who love video games is, you know, now what. It's never going to be a full circle, but it's, you know, I feel like it's you know, we're a generation that's grown up with video games and kind of don't really think twice about, you know, crediting to video games the same kind of emotional intensities or aesthetic complexity or whatever it is that we would to poetry and fiction and other art forms. So yeah, I'm really curious to see how this kind of nascent partnership develops, you know.
Definitely.
I think there are these kind of overlaps that there've always been of just people getting really, really into a thing and considering it for a really long time and wanting to just convey that. Because like while we're doing this, I keep just looking around and thinking, someone designed all of these trees. Like there's probably just a team, like one person or a team, like small team whose just job is only trees. And they've learnt the intricacies, the ins and outs of like every single one of these trees. And it feels that's basically poetry.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the basically requiring an arboricultural degree to realize it properly. You know?
There was a line, Calum, in Rock that really struck me, and I feel like it's like, you know, it sort of makes a binary disappear maybe between why people like enjoy poetry in a certain way and video games in another. But you say everything that lives is holy, whether real or dreamed, which I feel like is a
Nick. Yeah, we're going right. Sorry, Will.
I saw some deer.
Oh,
I wanted to have a look.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Maybe kill one to
Yeah.
get.
All right, I'm coming
Let's have a
back.
look at
You
these.
keep going.
Let's have a look
I'll
at these
catch up.
deer.
They've just gone down
You're
this.
disembarking. Guns out.
Oh no!
They're far away. Oh, they disappeared into the distance.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're running off into the distance.
Actually, that weirdly echoes one of the final shots in Rockstar North. The deer by the riverside.
Yeah. We took some stills to make and framed them for the exhibition, and that shot is one of them, of that deer
nice.
with the word. I think it's the line. The game is not to beat, but to find beatitude.
Yeah.
Real good, really good.
That line and the one that Will just mentioned, everything. Well, actually, that's from the same stanza. God, there's so many little serendipitous moments are happening already.
Well,
There-
maybe it is
there-
just because
there.
the games are made by the same people.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like, I don't know how much of the design team is the same, but I imagine that once you build a framework for a game, like, you don't want to start from scratch. So,
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
like, I wonder if the
Why are you not
Oh,
dying?
who's shooting?
Me, I'm trying to get me some meat.
We're talking
What
about
is
the
it? Is that- is
beatitude
that-
of these deer, and you are slaughtering
Yeah, I
them
know,
en masse.
but your camera woman's gonna die, and then you won't be able to talk about this any
I
longer.
mean,
so-
there's a yeah. I mean, that's a very poetic in itself. You know, you can't find beatitude if you're hungry. Well, actually, you can. A lot of, in fact, no, that's not the case at all. Sorry.
Maybe
I
while we
forgot about
stop
how
by
monks
this,
work.
by this river, and while Susie's skinning a deer, this might be a good moment for a poem. Actually, I've got
Oh,
one.
you did it. Well done.
You got it.
I don't have the right
Yeah.
equipment though, so I'm not killing it very well or successfully. But I have meat.
Is that the pelt?
I've got the pelt, yeah, which I don't really know.
Oh,
I can
yeah.
put on my horse.
All right, great.
Abby said in
Right.
chat, "I want to see the deer," and then I went and killed a deer. Sorry, but yeah, you should
I
continue.
mean, Abby didn't specify the aliveness of the deer.
That's true.
Okay.
Abby's heartbroken. That's,
Oh.
Fair
yeah.
Yeah, no, that is
Sorry, Abby.
tragic loss.
Where we headed
Well, do
again?
we want to go to camp?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
I think if we can, we're kind of off piste here, but
Yeah, we just-
according to our
yeah.
mini map, if we just sort of head in this general direction,
Yeah, we're close.
we should get there eventually. Although there does look to be a rather large cliff in the way. Oh no, it's fine.
Oh.
We just got to
Yeah,
follow
I
the
think
road.
the road's
That's
up
good.
there.
That's good.
Sorry, Gerard's just taking a minute. I'll catch up.
Is it that way or the other way?
My map's telling me this way.
Yeah. Okay. Wait. What way? Oh, this way. This way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I saw in terms of that kind of that stuff that we were talking about just now. I feel like that relates to something that you were talking about earlier, Calum. Like before we
Keep going, keep going, Will.
Guys, Will's trying to ask me a serious question.
It's really hard out here, guys. So don't call it the Wild West for nothing.
Yeah.
It's sort of you know, I mean, this game is a good context to talk about like that kind of stuff in, because as you were saying, it's like the landscape is inspired by kind of American transcendentalism and like Emerson and Thoreau and stuff, and that kind of sense that like everything, I don't know, I feel like that bears some relation to the sense that everything's connected. Even if you're playing a video game, the video game itself is part of the like connection of what's happening, if that makes sense. Like,
no, and it kind of maybe comes back to this idea that like we always see nature through culture, which when you kind of refract it in a different way is like the virtual and the actual are kind of more intimately connected than we'd sometimes like to imagine. In that, yeah, like it's this kind of, you know, a game that's been praised so much for its kind of naturalistic, you know, graphic splendor is more inspired by, you know, like Emerson and Ansel Adams and people like that than the landscapes themselves. And actually, let's be real, like, you know, like, yeah, like the history of cinema and westerns and stuff like that. So it's all kind of, yeah, like even in the wild, like nature isn't raw. Actually, the guy I did my PhD on is a poet artist called Ian Hamilton Finlay. You might have encountered his work. And his kind of magnum opus, as it were, was a poetry garden in southern Scotland called Little Sparta. And if anyone has the opportunity to visit, I couldn't recommend it highly enough. So Finlay was like a kind of agoraphobic and moved to Little Sparta in the mid-60s. And then for the next like 30 years, kind of created this poetry garden in the environs of his farmhouse, along with his chief collaborator, Sue Finlay, and, you know, dozens of other collaborators. And yeah, over like 30-40 years, they created this 5-acre garden with about 300 sculpted objects in it, all of which have inscription of some kind. And essentially, you know, he was a concrete poet in the 60s and just wanted to take poetry like out of the page and into the world. And a whole kind of sort of significance of Little Sparta is that, like, you know, all of his little vistas are all constructed, and the whole thing kind of works as this investigation of Western culture and the history of Western aesthetics. And it's you know, and he kind of reveals how fallacious the idea of a pure pastoral is.
Oh, are these real people?
I don't know. Oh no, they're NPCs, but that doesn't mean they aren't dangerous.
Is this your camp, Sis? Do we
Yeah, let me find it.
Oh, potentially.
how are we? Hey.
Amazing. Is this it?
This
This is where the map is. This is where the map is led.
Yeah, I think this is a camp.
Culminates.
This looks
Yeah.
nice. All right, here we go.
Lovely spot for a
Do we
picnic.
have to do something? White flag. Okay.
Who's this guy?
Who's this old
Oh,
timer?
he's the guy, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
Right.
Wait, so how do we like?
Yeah, how do we build a fire?
Wash
That's something that
face.
I haven't got my head around yet.
One flint, one wood. Hit it with a. Oh no, that's Zelda.
Do we have to like go to the bed and then say?
I think
No idea.
I don't know. Is that fire over there we can use?
Oh, the fire is there. It's behind you.
Where?
over here.
Oh, okay. There's also beers over here if anyone would like a beer.
Oh, nice
Ooh.
cold one around the
By the-
campfire. Would be
by the
lovely.
guy.
Hold it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nick, it might be you've got a few poems that you've sort of gathered,
Oh,
haven't you?
sorry.
Oh no. Oh dear.
No.
Oh no. There's more strangling
Oh, is there?
happening.
All right. Sorry, Will.
It's just
If you
a
have-
friendly
Ah.
tussle.
You made my hat fall off, Nick.
Gamers,
just-
everybody.
How about are you gonna cook, Susie?
I'm gonna try and cook. Oh, rest by fire. Here we go. Yeah.
All right, nice.
We can all sit by the
How
fire.
about Will? Have you got any more poems going?
Oh no!
Yes, a poem, not to be garroted.
Sorry,
No, it keeps
That's
happening.
what happens when we
Oh,
ask
dear.
for poetry.
I'm really.
You what?
It's
Oh,
the same
brilliant.
button for rest and
Yeah,
throttle.
yeah.
That doesn't
Yeah, that is
sound
not ideal. That is not ideal.
But
Sorry,
yes,
sorry,
yes,
Calum.
I do have one. I was one that Will actually kind of pointed me towards from the library when I was in the other day. We were talking about the game and talking about kind of landscape poets in America, and I came across through Will's suggestion through to Annie Dillard. And this is we've got a poem called "The Clearing." So if anyone
Oh, great.
saw any of our posts about this event, you might have seen this. We made a kind of tiny machinima for this, but I'll read it as well. They came to the forest and made a clearing, blasted the stumps, split the wood, and built the woodshed. Too tired to build a house, they bought a roller, white paint, some asphalt, and made a tennis court in the clearing. They forgot the fence. They played tennis that summer till all the balls were lost in the forest. And when the woodshed caught fire, it was almost as pretty as the blaze the sparkler factory made when it burned outside Wheeling, West Virginia.
Nice.
Really love Annie Dillard. She's amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for showing me her work. I didn't know any of her work before this week, in fact. So it's been really cool to kind of catch up.
Great. Yeah, she's a really good prose writer as well, like sort of non-fiction stuff. She's great.
Right.
Callum, your corpse is still here.
I noticed that. I was just thinking that's the first time I've ever listened to a poetry reading while crouching over my own corpse. Although there was that one time with the mushrooms, but the less said about that, the better.
Yeah, it really makes you confront your own mortality. Like, and I'm sure that like in GTA 5, when you're doing Rockstar North, like your body disappears, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So this is
It's like object permanence.
yeah.
We now have the same hat.
Oh,
So
nice.
I picked up your dead guy's hat. So
Oh, all right. I'm
Snap.
swapping. I'm going to take your hat, Will. Brilliant. How are you doing,
alright.
Suze? Are you well fed? Do
I'm well fed and I have cooked meat in my stash.
you want my hat?
Why?
Because we've all swapped hats.
Oh, I missed that. Sorry. It's I'm in cinematic mode. It's hard to see what's going on sometimes, you know?
Mm.
Sure. How do I get your hat?
It's actually on. It's on the fire. Weirdly.
Oh, okay. Hat swap. Oh, love this. I feel like
Nice.
Jessie from
Nice.
Toy Story. Yeah.
Shall
We cracking
we?
on then?
Shall we
Nice.
away? Yeah.
Yeah, that's. I think we kind of pretty much missed the dawn, but you know,
I think that's the nature of it.
like, yeah.
Well, it's
exactly.
sunset coming now. Is it like is it getting on in the day? Do we want to catch a nice sunset
It's
somewhere?
it's somehow it's already 20 past 7 in the night in the evening.
How did that happen?
Do we have Susie?
We
There you
have me, yeah.
How long is a game day in this? Because I do know that a game day in GT5 is 48 minutes.
Is it?
Given, oh yeah, that was another rule in Rockstar North that I introduced to myself halfway through that I forgot to mention, which was, so once I got to the top of a mountain and I determined to myself that I'd reached the peak, that was the one time I was allowed to, in non-self-defense, shoot a firearm, and I would shoot the sun or moon You wait one game day, shoot it again, and then go on to the next mountain. And that was I just randomly decided to do that at the first peak to
Yeah,
kind of memorialize it somehow.
and that's a ritual is formed.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
incredible.
exactly.
I love
ritual.
that.
So yeah, and that
Yeah.
was actually one of the funnest parts of the because that was the thing. There's the poem. The way I look at it, there's the film and there's the poem, but then like the actual journey itself, like as a kind of activity, or I really like the word pursuit, because pursuit obviously can mean like pastime, but it can also mean like search,
Yeah.
and you know, being really inspired by like mystic poets and romantics and so on. That kind of double meaning really appealed to me, and it was those moments, those quiet moments, where essentially like almost an hour, 3/4 of an hour, where I'd just be standing around at the top of the mountain. Sometimes I'd be like, "Can I go yet?" But other times I'd be like, "Oh, these clouds are trippy," you know.
Yeah. I mean, speaking of these kind of game landscapes, are there any other games that you've wanted to explore like this? And this is for both of you, because I know, Will, you were playing Elden Ring recently, which
Oh,
has
yeah.
incredible landscapes.
Yeah,
Um,
mad.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
tell
mean,
me about your Elden Ring experience, Will. That's a hell of a game.
So speaking of mystics and beatitude, I was prophet build, and yeah, it was great. I mean, it's one of those games which is completely mad. Like you feel like it almost feels like every landscape you enter is the last level because it looks so crazy and amazing,
Yeah.
and like sublime in that kind of sense of like awe-inspiring and somewhat terrifying. Like I feel like every vista that you sort of stumble into is just like it's kind of such an impressive kind of artwork that you can live inside for a bit, and they just keep delivering on it. So for me, that was like kind of what it did feel like. In keeping with this, that was like one of the best aspects of the game, was just exploring like that whole world and just being completely like blown away every time you sort of see a new thing.
maybe that's the
Yeah.
next one we walk through.
It would last about 3 minutes.
Yeah, isn't it? Bring some short poetry.
Yeah. But I think sublime is absolutely the word
Yeah.
to describe that game. And it is very different to GTA, where it's like you have the power, you know.
Yeah,
GTA is this like power fantasy essentially, whereas Elden Ring is the opposite. You know, that's where the sublime comes from, right? If it doesn't have that terror, that like proper awe, which encompasses both like awesomeness and awfulness,
Yeah.
then yeah, that's it.
So where shall we head? I propose we like pick a spot in the distance and try and get to it.
Classic. I agree.
Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Considering we've been talking about kind of mountain peaks, should we try and get somewhere high? Except that's how we got into this mess in the first place, isn't it?
This is true.
yeah.
But
Let's go.
you know,
Let's try it again. You know.
yeah, to quote Shepard again, don't go up the mountain but into it.
Yes.
We're not concerned with necessarily. We're not concerned with conquest as much as encounters, experience. We're
absolutely.
poets after all.
We could maybe, if we don't want to go right up high, we could follow a river. That could be interesting.
Oh
Yeah, I like
yeah.
that. Let's do
Like
that.
there's the one that we came along the Dakota River, like down a bit, which will take us
Yep.
into an interesting bit. Or there's a little stream just up a bit as well that would take us up.
If we go directly east from here, just straight east, we'll meet the stream that was by the Cattail Pond, and then follow that south, and we get to the river.
Sure, let's do that then.
Sounds good. Nice.
I'm trying to also have the authentic experience, and
It sounded so authentic. It's great.
yeah,
It'd be nice to have a compass though.
it would, yeah.
So, yeah.
Are there any
That's
other?
definitely going down.
So what are you saying, Susie?
Oh, I was just gonna say if anyone else has like any other games, you're talking about like sort of having that you'd like to have a bit of a similar rambling experience in, because it's like just really nice playing this game but in this different way. And as the person in chat was saying earlier as well, it's like it's probably for people watching it as well. It's quite interesting to see people just walking through this landscape and talking about
Yeah.
poetry.
Mm.
Apart from Elden Ring.
I mean, the only other game that I have sort of created my own metagame in of sorts. It was an amazing indie game from 2013 called Proteus. Which, and rather than, whereas Rockstar North is a, very bombastic, maximalist, like 23-minute film with, performance style poetry over the top and some, just basically throwing everything at it. I had, for Proteus, I made a little sort of handmade small press book in an edition of 24 called Fiat Ontology. And it was like just loads of little minimal poems put alongside screenshots from the game. And they are the two kind of fullest works that I've done in that kind of mindset. And I love just kind of how different they are. And part of the reason for that is just because of how different the source texts are, like how different the games are, the experience of playing them. Unfortunately, Proteus is single player, which is a limitation, but then also probably for the game's sake quite a good one.
Yeah.
Did you have any processes in place for like Proteus in the same way you did with? Did you have like rules?
Not as such. It wasn't as developed. It wasn't as kind of action based as that. But really, the only rule as such was that a particular. Actually, I did a playthrough of the game writing loads of haiku, or kind of Renga kind of thing, and I had pages and pages of that when I initially did it, and then I also gave myself this task of like, because the game takes place essentially over like 4 seasons, but in the same world over 4 seasons, and at the end of every season I had to take a screenshot of the exact same scene, but yeah, it was like a day and night for each of the seasons, so I ended up with like 7 or 8 shots. And that kind of ended up controlling the structure of the sequence, like sort of 7 main poems corresponding to each of the 7 sort of main screenshots. So yeah, it was like completely different method to the one that I used for Rockstar North, but it's only I'm as pleased with the results. It's a much like slighter and subtler piece than Rockstar North, but yeah, I was really pleased with it. It's super small press, but if you go to my website, there's a PDF of it up there if anyone fancies
nice.
checking it out.
Oh, cool.
We just had someone in the chat mention Shadow of the Colossus.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
so good.
Like sprawling, wonderful kind of world to ramble through.
Yeah.
Bleak, but really, yeah, excellent shout. I
Yeah,
think also worth mentioning it. Ouch! I think also worth mentioning at this point the piece,
This seems
the
dangerous.
grannies, which is less concerned with the kind of poetics of the space, but really dealing with the kind of breaks in landscape. So it's another kind of machinima, but in which they try to break out of the boundaries of the game, like kind of pushing beyond the kind of rocks at the ends of landscape and just seeing what's beyond. Like, and I think it does like similar things to what you were doing with Rockstar North, but with a different kind of, almost a different medium, or kind of different mindset to the medium.
yeah. I love the idea of like breaking the boundaries of the game. It's so cool. Like,
Sorry, I'm a little bit far behind the connection. I think my internet connection might have gone a bit funny. I have a
Alright,
warning
that's
for
right.
the stream, so sorry if there's any oh dear problems. For
We'll
anyone.
wait for you by the river.
Yeah,
We'll wait for the
that's-
other
Yeah.
side of the river. I think one that I would love to do, I think because the landscape is actually just so differently constructed, is one of the new Zelda games, like Tears of the Kingdom. Because like you go through it and it feels like the landscape feels amazing, like it feels wondrous to be in. But then you look down at a rock and you realize like it's the lowest poly. Like they're
Totally.
not
Yeah.
trying to make it look real. They're just trying to make it feel, I guess, realistic. It's the beat versus beatitude again.
Yeah, no,
Um,
totally.
Also, someone has made a mod for a Zelda emulator where you can multiplayer that now. So maybe we need to
Ooh.
yeehaw through that as well.
I'd so be up for that. I mean, I almost found myself like trying to use a glider when I was stuck
Yeah,
up it.
yeah.
I'm about 90 hours into Tears of the Kingdom at the moment. It is some game.
Oh,
And it's
excellent.
Proteus as well is an example of like, I mean, that's just like pixels, big chunky pixels, and it's it doesn't strive for anything like verisimilitude, but that's what makes it so great. You know, you
Yeah,
don't. It's the
insightful.
thing. It's that like being in a place and having the, and again, like sort of the core convention of modern gaming is the like, you know, whether it's mouse look or two sticks, and which is yeah, like that again. That's a kind of second nature that, you know, put me in a world, put me in a virtual world, and like I know how to navigate it. But even that's like a convention, and also, you know, it's not so bad with third person games, is it? But I think like first person, a lot of people struggle with it with like motion sickness and stuff.
Yeah, yeah. Or even just the kind
Uh,
of inbuilt or like implicit game knowledge you have to use like a controller. Like how many
yeah,
buttons
yeah,
is that? 16 to 20 buttons that you
yeah.
have to.
There's so many assumptions that, you
Yeah,
know, the average gamer, even a casual gamer, takes for granted.
yeah.
I
Like
see
it
that someone's
feels. Oh,
We
you
found
guys will?
a yeah, what wild horses.
Yeah.
that's quite nice.
Yeah, that's very nice.
Saw that someone mentioned No Man's Sky in the chat as well, which
Oh,
I've been
Oh
playing
yeah.
a little, been
Ooh.
dabbling lately, and that is a game with like some amazing places to explore. Although what I would say about that is, I feel like what's nice about doing this is that it's sort of not the focus of No Man's Sky is exploration, which is so nice. It's like
Yeah.
really really nice to like be able to sort of like see all those like randomly generated landscapes. Like sometimes like really beautiful and amazing, sometimes like really horrible and ugly, but also in like quite an interesting way. But with this, it's like, and with Rockstar North, what you described about that is like you've sort of made up your own game within this kind of like world that they built. It's like there, and like, you know, I don't know how many other people are just like walking around in it, like, you know, not pressing run or whatever when they're
Yeah.
traveling
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah. We're
Yeah.
going to get very
totally.
heavy-handed on the symbolism, and maybe this is a leap. But with No Man's Sky, they really hammer home the idea that the worlds are basically infinite. You can see all these worlds like wherever you go, and I think that leads to them being quite repetitive.
Mm.
Whereas with this, there is a boundary to the world. Like this is, for all intents and purposes, a flat Earth
Mm.
with a wall around it. But it means that every piece has been constructed for you to look at, and it feels like, I think that's why this lends itself very well to the poetic. Like every kind of vista has been designed with the idea that someone will see it.
Definitely. Yeah.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Ooh,
See,
a
on that
question in the
note,
chat.
just
So I was just saying, we've got a question in the chat.
oh,
Someone asking, the games that you guys chose to play influences the poetry selections. Are they related somehow? So yeah, how did you pick your poems for the day?
it's very appropriate that that question should be asked, because I was about to suggest reading a short excerpt from Ed Dorn's poem Gunslinger, which
Nice.
is a kind of subversive Black Mountain American modernist Western type poem. So yeah, that was specifically chosen. I specifically looked this out for this event, given the cowboy context. So yeah, maybe will I just read 2 or 3 stanzas from
Yeah,
this,
great.
and then yeah, Will, perhaps you could say a bit about your poems too.
Sounds
So
good, yeah.
these are the opening stanzas from Gunslinger. I met in Messila the cautious gunslinger of impeccable personal smoothness and slender leather encased hands, folded casually to make his knock. He would show you his map. There is your domain. Is it the domicile it looks to be, or simply a retinal block of seats in? He will flip the phrase, the theatre of impatience. If it is where you are, the footstep in the flat above, in a foreign land, or any shimmer the city sends you, the prompt sounds of a metropolitan nearness, he will unroll the map of locations. His knock resounds inside its own smile. Where, I ask him, is my heart? Not this pump, he answers, artificial already and bound, touching me with his leathern finger as the Queen of Hearts burns from his gauntlet into my eyes. And what I really liked about that excerpt, particularly apropos your comment there, Nick, is how, you know, there's those lines where he would show you his map. There is your domain. He will unroll the map of locations. It does feel like, yeah, like this kind of map. You know, even when you
That's a mini
pause
map
to go
with a
to the
bunch of,
map
yeah,
screen, it goes
exactly.
makes this unrolling sound effects. So yeah, I thought that was quite nice to bring
Brilliant.
along. So yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and like, Will, how about you in terms of like the poems you brought, like what was your thinking behind the pieces that you brought along?
So yeah, I mean, the pieces I started with were just from the like the library's organized alphabetically, so I just looked under C for cowboy.
Brilliant.
Initially,
We should have called this event C for Cowboy.
Yeah, so I found two anthologies of that, but then yeah, I don't know, thought like yeah, the more we talked about it, the more like it seemed like there was such a nice like wide kind of angle, like in Callum's use of Basho in Rockstar North I really liked, and sort of thought about how like Rambling relates to like Zen punk poets like Ryokan and like Chiatao and like a lot of old sort of Chinese and Japanese poets. And today actually might be a good opportunity to share a poem that I was asking my colleague Russell if he knew any good American nature poets, and he recommended Denise Levertov, who I don't know whether she'd identify as a nature poet, and apparently she was born in Essex as well, and then moved to America after.
Amazing.
She had quite a good. She's got quite a good sequence called what's it called? Lake Mountain Moon, which sounds very pertinent to this whole situation. Yes. And it starts with a kind of like saying that she was born in London and then moved to the States, and then there's this really nice poem which is good for the nighttime. I mean, it's more of a sunset poem than a nighttime poem, but right. It's called On the Eve for Melanie. The moon was white in the stillness. Daylight changed without moving. A hint of sundown strained the sky. We walked the short grass, the dry ground of the hill, beholding the tinted west. We talked of change in our lives. The moon tuned its whiteness a tone higher.
Nice. Really good. I think before we go back into the landscape and convene with nature, I think this is a good moment to actually just talk about the poetry library a little bit. Both you and I got all of the poems we've read today directly from the poetry library's collection. As I mentioned at the beginning of all of this event, Playing Poetry had its kind of large-scale debut exhibition at the Poetry Library. It is a phenomenal place and still remains kind of one of London's kind of best-kept secrets. If anyone watching the stream is UK-based, if not just London-based, I urge you to go to the Poetry Library and just talk to the people behind the desk there and say what you're into. And within a few seconds, they'll be like, yes, check out this, this, and this, because I think you'll love them. Every single time I go, it's a joy. And I want everyone to do this too. I want everyone to share the joy that I have. Like, for example, I've gone in and asked for, any old number of things and not just books I'll get. Like, someone will go into the dusty tomes behind and pull out a box of object poetry. And so, like, there's a poem in there that's a lemon inside a wooden box. There's a poem that's 3 board games on top of each other. There's a poem that simulates an eclipse of the moon that you have to hold up as you're reading it. Like, it is incredible, and actually, like, was a huge inspiration for all of this playful and kind of game-based poetry that we've been exploring over the last kind of year and a half. Definitely get down there.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Yeah, well, like second everything there. I work there, so obviously I'm biased, but I do love it there. And that experience, that Levertov poem that I just read was like, I asked my colleague Russell about. I was just off to lunch. He was like, "Oh, if you can think of anything, let me know." And then I came back and he'd like put markers in the book where he'd found poems that I thought I'd like. He thought I'd like, and it was like, "Oh, this is what it feels like to come in and like, Yeah,
so, yeah, exactly. I think it's the double-edged sword. Obviously, you love it being there, but you don't quite get the same joys. Because, like, I will come in and ask what I think is a really stupid question, and someone will, without fail, like, beam at me and give me a list of things that they think will work. Like, every single time. I don't think I've ever been in and, like, one of the librarians say, actually, I don't think we've got anything on that. Sure. I enjoy that we're all just crouch walking, just sneaking around while we do it. Can we get into this barn?
Ricky.
Oh, yeah.
Jama in chat said perfect fire gazing poems just now.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Nick, you're still displaying as an enemy for me from when you throttled me earlier.
Yeah, it's true.
Maybe there's something in this barn.
Okay.
Infinite interest.
Something we were talking about before the stream started, in differences between this and GTA. Like obviously GTA is already very urban. Like you go in and that's the landscape that you're presented with. Like nature is almost a novelty on the outskirts of it. Whereas with this, both in the online version and the story itself, it very much feels like industry and the kind of urban environment is encroaching on the wilderness or like the Wild West. And it feels like it's a very different way to walk through it as well. Like I think in GTA, there's always a car. Like you always pass, you're always hearing that like engine sound, or hearing like the kind of barks of non-player characters. Whereas within this, like there was the man at the camp, but otherwise we just hear birdsong. It's
Yeah.
an amazing way to, or like an amazing invitation within playing a game to just walk and not have to be confronted with like side quests or combat encounters.
Yeah.
I also really
On that
enjoy.
note-
Sorry.
Sorry, Susie, go.
I was just gonna say I also really enjoy in this game where like I feel like the further east you go, then you start to like there's a massive city that you can also walk through, and but it does feel like sort of a bit grimy compared to like these parts of the game, and like the noise is so different like as well. Like there's just even the things that the people are talking about in the streets of the city are very different to the things that the people in the country talk about, and you hear
Right.
lots of building all the time, and the air feels a bit sooty and everything just feels a bit grimy. So I really enjoy that contrast of all the different landscapes.
Absolutely. Jamie in the chat has just asked, can you crouch walk in the poetry library? Yeah, I've done it.
Is there a
I've
rule
definitely
against
done it.
Anyway,
People
yeah,
crowd
Will,
walk
you were
through
gonna.
those doors all the time.
Yeah.
Was that sorry?
Oh, I thought you were gonna say something, Will. Or-
Do you guys want to get
Okay,
in my carriage?
Yeah, let's get in
Did
this
you just
wagon.
kill that man? I was picking
No, I
tobacco.
didn't. Oh,
Oh my god!
Oh dear.
Consequences
Get
of
my
your
gun out.
actions,
Get my
people.
gun out.
This is kind of
wait.
self-defense. I'm defending Nick.
Oh, I think I might have shot Nick.
Oh,
Oh, no,
Nick,
I
you-
shot the horse by accident. Oh no, I thought that was a person. Oh
I
no.
think the
Oh.
cart is carrying Nick's corpse away.
Oh no. I'm brought in.
I've changed sessions.
think that's-
due
that's
to a
better for me,
network
I don't
error.
wanna-
I'm gonna have to try and rectify that.
okay.
Oh. Here.
Okay, we've disbanded a little bit. So
Okay,
what? Callum,
Oh
you-
no, I'm back. I'm here.
Okay. Wait, we've lost Calum.
Okay.
Callum
You,
will. I think we can keep. Shall we keep walking, and Callum will connect to wherever we end up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gone. We were doing so well as well.
You're
were,
breaking up
we
a
were.
bit. Is your
Yeah.
connection alright, Callum?
Yeah, maybe it's
Oh.
his internet.
You keep walking. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We
it's breaking
can.
up
You
a
are
bit.
you are a ghost within our wild walk. I'm trying to get this stranger's hat. I've lost
Okay.
my hat.
Possibly not. Yeah, yeah, I am in ghost mode at the moment.
Yeah.
I was
I'm-
going to
I'm
ask
just
Callum,
heading-
but maybe.
Sorry, keep going, Will.
I was going to ask Callum, but maybe you want to answer once you've sort of come back, if you've got stuff to focus on. But is there anything? Are you working on any other solitary kind of walking projects in game at the moment? Is there any game that you're like looking to sort of write another poem in, or?
Are you asking me that question, Will?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Not as such. Actually, at the moment, I'm obsessed with writing poems in traditional meters, but which are also in executable JavaScript, which is fun. So yeah, it's kind of a slightly different marriage of technology and poetry. What I like about that is because one thing about I'm back in the game, by the way, so I'm going to come find you.
Oh, nice.
Oh, there you are. Hey.
There's a great
one of
comment
the
in the
things I
chat.
like about Rockstar North is that it's kind of irreverent to both video games and romantic poetry, but in a way that is ultimately loving.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's the same with the JavaScript poems, like the way that because I'll write them in the code editor as JavaScript, but then I format them as poetic lines. And if to show that to a certain school of poet would be like sacrilegious, and to show it to a certain school of developer would definitely be sacrilegious. So yeah, it's kind of like twisting these syntaxes into things that they really, it's almost a kind of meta game of itself, making a game within a game, constraints, and it all comes back to that stuff,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there's a comment in the chat that kind of pertains, I think, to this idea of like to your question, Will, of trying other games and working in other forms. Someone's saying that weirdly walking in a walking simulator doesn't feel as satisfying because it's what you're supposed to do, and I think there's definitely something in that being able to take the time out in this game to just go for a stroll feels very intentional. As opposed to like just going through a walking simulator where that's the single, that's like the press X too.
Yeah. And it's like, there's the whole kind of like discourse around how these sort of like cracks in capitalism and stuff is, I mean, some would argue it's subversive. I wouldn't quite go that far, but like that kind of taking control of your own self-care in a way that doesn't follow the dicta of consumerism or whatever.
Right.
I mean, that is really important in life, and this is, in our own little way, we're kind of mimicking that in the game here,
100%.
I told you about this before when we were chatting, but one of the best things I've seen recently was, is someone shooting at, who's shooting at, there's someone else over there shooting at us.
I can hear gunshots. Is someone shooting at us?
Yeah, someone's shooting at us over there.
Come on.
Oh, multiple people? Someone just got flung into the air.
Did you see the horse?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've lost you again.
Wait, did you get killed?
Something
Anyway,
What just fell out of the sky?
I think it was a
something
stranger
very
that was.
unnatural is happening.
There's some sort of alien occurrences potentially.
And this is the nature we weren't expecting.
Yeah.
I was booted from the session and then immediately killed by a stranger, so
Oh.
I hope I can join you again very soon.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think a horse might have fallen from the sky, or one of the people that we killed were thrown into the air and then fell from the sky. Oh no, a rival started a mission. Eliminate the target or attack them.
Oh no, that's
not related.
We did not sign up for this.
Yeah, we can leave them to
We're
it.
poets.
We're just poets. Anyway, I was saying before we started getting shot at that I was on TikTok recently scrolling through and I found a live, and I never really watched lives on TikTok, but I was instantly intrigued because it was like, help me walk across the whole of Red Dead carrying my camp stew. And it was someone else, just this girl who's streaming, and she's got a bowl of camp stew and she's doing a challenge to walk across the whole map from one side to another without the stew spilling, or like someone, nudging into her, a horse getting run into her. Yeah, and she's just been doing it for days on end. And then she's got people like sort of protecting her now. And I think
That's
they're calling
amazing.
themselves the Stew Squad or something along those
I
lines.
love it. Absolutely love it. Like, it's so cool.
But yeah, I
It's
just
that making your own game within the game kind of
exactly,
thing.
yeah.
Yeah. And then on the flip side, I also really love things like the subreddit Outside, which describes life as if it's a video game.
Oh yeah.
And like these kind of
Which is a
TikTok
really
and Instagram
formalist
accounts.
constraint.
I know, and it's amazing like how deep people go with it. And then also like Instagram, there's people who do like pretend to be NPCs, and they're usually like break dancers or do all the robot dance and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just so impressive. I just absolutely love it.
As we're coming into our last kind of 10 minutes of this stream, I propose, do you think we can make it up to that outcrop in front of me? Like to the east-northeast?
Yeah, I see you. Yeah, let's do it.
oh,
See if we can get there. I
that's
think
fun.
we'll get a lovely group shot to
Okay.
commemorate this journey we've taken.
we're walking
excellent
or
plan.
horses. What?
Let's walk.
Okay.
Shag
Um,
I'm
says
just taking,
Tony.
I'm taking Gerard with us just because he likes
of
the
course.
company.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
Trent and Gerard cannot be separated. The artist Everest Pipkin was doing a walk around Zelda Breath of the Wild. I think they were calling it like the hero's journey, and the whole idea was that you couldn't cross your own path at any point, and if they did, like they had to start again. Because it has the ability to show you the entire route you take, like your kind of path throughout the game. And I'm sure that if we looked at ours now, it would just be a circle. I'm sure we've just been going in
Yeah.
circles for an hour and a half.
I mean, yeah.
My housemate Kez, shouts to Kez if he's listening, was saying how much he loves the swamp areas in this, and I was I think they're en route to the city in the east that you were talking about, Susie, and there's this really nice just the landscape changes so much in this game.
Yeah.
But I guess slowing right down does really show how extensive they are as well, because I guess
Yeah.
we have been like traversing it's all been quite similar terrain this time round, but it's just
Yeah.
there's so much in this world.
Those swamp areas were really memorable. I mean, it must have been like whatever was it 5 years since this game came out, something like that. And yeah, that was still one of the most memorable sections, like discovering that area in the mist, and it's just like wow. I think it's probably not long after I'd watched the first series of True Detective as well. So
Yeah, fits.
Yeah, I feel like we could like come back and do this again, but just go to a completely different area of the map
Yeah.
and sort of
Yeah.
find poetry inspired more by those landscapes. I'm sure there's some really interesting swampy
Yeah.
poetry.
and probably experience as much serendipity as we
Yeah.
have on this journey.
Yeah. I found a poem, another Annie Dillard poem, which starts with the saying that it's set in the town of Blackwater, which is a town in the
No
game.
way.
Yeah.
So let's keep that in the back pocket for next time.
Yeah, yeah.
That's great. So what's next with playing poetry, Nick and Susie?
Good question. So we're wrapping up the Virtual Textual exhibition. There's a couple of weeks left if anyone wants to go along and see. So that's at Phoenix Cinema and Arts Centre up in Leicester. We've got, I think it's 8 or 9 different artists or artist groups showing work across the range of kind of poetry games, game poetry, machinima. It's focused more on digital games this time, whereas the Poetry Library one had a good range of, digital and physical games. After that, we're not sure. So we've got a few kind of smaller events in the new year in terms of kind of like workshops and things like this. But for the next exhibition, we're still planning it out. Hopefully, so it feels like we're in a nice rhythm of like one a year, which gives a nice break in between to actually play some games. Yeah, we'll see what comes next.
Great.
Yeah, and we were saying that maybe we could do similar things like this as well in some other games, like we were talking about. I really want to do it in Sea of Thieves and maybe sing some pirate shanties.
Yeah.
Great. That's the point. I haven't seen any pirate poetry anthologies, but yeah, something to look out for in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah, please do let us know.
Be a pirate.
Are we gonna make it up here? Oh, we're getting shot at.
Been bitten by a snake.
Oh no.
Oh, my snake!
Yeah.
Oh, snake! I'll kill it.
Snake's alright.
Oh, it's gone away.
Well,
I
I
wanted
love
to
how
get
you're
revenge.
just like walking Gerard.
Yeah, Gerard has to come with us.
He doesn't get happy. Long periods of being left alone.
Gerard
He's
wants
not.
to see the view too.
And yeah, similarly for both of you, are there any things that you're working on next? What's coming up that you might want to share with our audiences before we come to an end?
Yeah, I mean, for those JavaScript poems, I'm really hoping will turn into a pamphlet sometime next year. So yeah, watch this space for that. But
Nice.
aside from that, just see what 2024 brings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't know
similarly, What's that, Susie?
Oh no, I just saying to Nick, I don't think you'll be able to get up there.
No, you were right.
Yeah.
This is Zelda.
Yeah, next year, starting I think in January, I'll be doing more episodes of Plastic Language. So
Awesome.
tune in to those if you like
Yep.
spoken word and music and sound,
That's
etc.
NTS Radio. When does it come on?
I'm not sure. I haven't got a date yet, but it'll be sometime
Okay.
in January. So
Nice.
yeah, watch this space.
Excellent. Okay, how about let's stand and have this landscape, this rolling vista in the background.
That's a great
Okay,
idea.
that's nice. Yeah.
I was trying to get a nice
I'll try and
picture
get-
of this.
yeah.
But maybe
Yeah,
you
I'll
can
put
do that.
myself
Well, yeah,
aligned
do you have
correctly.
you could take a picture of, or I'll take a picture in the camera.
Oh yeah,
actually.
there is a I love how there's an in-game camera in this.
Yeah.
And it's like proper
Let me
daguerreotype,
Old-timey
whatever you
camera.
say that word.
camera. Okay, handheld. Okay.
You can do it as self-portraits. You can get in too.
yeah.
Mine's
Oh,
not
for
let
real?
mine's not letting me do a self-portrait. Does yours have that option?
It does. Let me do. Okay, you get yourself
Oh,
angled.
it does now. It does now.
All right.
But we need
Let's
to face
let's get near
this way, I
Gerald.
guess. Right?
Yeah, Gerald's gonna start feeling left out.
Okay.
I don't
so-
think any of us want to be kicked.
Okay,
in the
wait.
head.
So see where I am.
Yeah.
Actually, maybe I need to move. Let me just move a bit, so I have more of the background, and I'll stand beside you, and then I'll tell you to move. Sorry, I know I'm standing in front of you, but I will.
Right,
I will
no,
move in a
I'll
second.
watch, I'll watch. Yeah.
I love this. People are
Oh.
trying to. Oh no, Robert Burns is in the way. I'm in the bushes now.
Robert Burns is in the way. Sounds like the history of Scottish literature.
Maybe if we just go down. Okay, wait. Right.
These spaces are really sort of making things difficult
I
for
feel
us.
this feels like a very apt way to get to the end of our
No, it
stream.
does, okay.
End exactly
Okay.
how we began.
So see where I am right now. If people could come
Yeah.
and stand
Yeah.
beside me.
Oh yeah.
All
yeah,
right.
yeah. Right,
We
good
can
shout.
do that.
Right. Oh, and we
We're
can
standing
put
behind you,
beside me,
beside you. Yeah.
beside me, in a little line.
Right.
All right, got it.
And
Right.
while we're all angling, I'd like to say a huge thank you to everyone in the audience for following us on this, our first virtual ramble. Hopefully we'll do some more. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. Let us know either in the chat today or on Twitter or Instagram what you thought. If it's something that's of interest, we'd love to do it again. If you'd like to see the exhibition, it's on up at Phoenix. All the info's at playingpoetry.com. With that out the way, are we ready for our photo opportunity?
Nick, can you move in a bit closer? You're really out of the frame. I didn't want to interrupt your last your last bit there. Okay.
How's that?
I
Okay,
can't make
yeah.
Trent look happy in this.
Yeah, Trent looks so sad. Okay. Okay, smile.
Right.
Amazing.
I have a farewell poem. If
Oh, wonderful!
that's not
Yes.
brilliant.
Yeah, I'd love it.
This is by Chia Tao, an erstwhile Zen monk who became a poet during China's Tang Dynasty. Did a lot of wandering around and rambling, etc. And this one's called "At Shangku, Seeing Off a Guest, Traveling Rivers and Lakes." Do not grieve that great distance will separate us. If the distance were less, it would still be separation. In the night, reaching the river tower, you'll climb, and over Nantai, see the moon as before.
Beautiful.
Thank you everyone for joining us.
Yeah, thanks,
We've
everyone.
enjoyed it, and we will see you again soon.
Yeah. Thank you so
It's
much.
been really
Been
fun.
a blast.
Bye.
Really good time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.